How you doing? This is John, and welcome to John's Long Box. Tonight we're going to do live coverage of the Democratic National Convention with Ashley on the spot there. No, I'm just teasing. Let's get away from politics and talk about comic books. How's it going, Ashley?
Pretty good. How are you?
Good, good. What are we doing here now? Why are we here?
We're here because I've launched Santa's Nuclear Winter Special over on Indiegogo, and hoping to talk to you guys about the Santa in the Apocalypse with some zombies.
Yeah, Santa in the Apocalypse. So it's nuclear winter. So it's after nuclear war.
Yeah,
yeah. And for those of you who are like, this guy looks familiar, you also have the Unbreakable Argonauts is your other. Excuse me, I just ate dinner fast. So you asked if you could promote your comic on my channel. It's like, yeah, sure. That's all about comics, so why not? So we're just going to filibuster a bit to see if anybody wants to filter in. And what's going? I forget. You're in Britain or Ireland?
Ireland. Yeah.
You're in Ireland. How's it? What's the weather over there?
We actually had like a pretty ferocious storm recently, which is nice because it's been way too hot. So
same with us.
Yeah.
A tree from the neighbor's house fell on my deck, broke the deck. I had to go out. Broke a neck and everything with my chainsaw. I cut it all up, get rid of it. It was pretty bad.
Storms are terrible out here though, because we have like a lot of tourists will come over to Ireland and they'll get a like an RV or like a caravan, and like for whatever reason, a lot of tourists will go and they'll camp out on the edge of cliffs. And so like every couple of years, there's this horror story about we get like a really bad summer storm and someone's RV just gets swept off over the cliffs. Thankfully, that hasn't happened this year.
Yeah. When my wife took me for my 50th birthday, she took me to Iceland. I always wanted to go to Iceland. I always wanted to see the Northern Lights. So my birthday's in December. So you can imagine how cold it was. We went to Iceland in December, and I was like, we should rent a car. And I was like, no, they got public transport. I'm like, I don't want to take buses. But in Iceland, it's only Reykjavik, and it's not that big. Like there's only 300,000 people in the entire country. And 2/3 of them are in Reykjavik, and the rest of them are scattered out amongst the rest of the island nation. So I was like, okay, you were smart. We didn't need to rent a car. We walked mostly every place and then a few buses. But long story short, we went out on the glacier to go see the Northern Lights. It was like a big multi-tank terrain machine, just it treads everything. And it was like going up like real steep. It was kind of scary. It was a lot of fun though. So we're out there, and as we're coming back, it's pitched. Like when we left, it was daylight, but it's only a couple hours later, it's dark again because it's Iceland during the winter.
Yeah.
And there's cars on the side of the road. He goes, yeah, these are tourists. Because it happens all the time. Because Americans, they come out, they rent a car because that's what they used to. He goes, and it gets dark. He goes, so once you leave Reykjavik, there's no street lights, there's no streets. He says, if unless they have a cell phone, they'll just sit in their car and freeze. I'm like, oh, I told my wife, I go, that would have been us. That would have been us, So the same thing, I guess. Go to Ireland and fall off a cliff. Go to Iceland and freeze to death in a car. It's all fun. Stay home, everybody. Stay home and read comic books. You don't get hurt doing that. So, let's talk about comic books. I'm going to bring up your campaign over here. So this is active. You launched this today, right?
I launched it yesterday, but
you launched it yesterday. Okay. Yeah. And this is on Indiegogo, and I'm going to make this big. And tell me about this. It's got a trailer. Can I play the trailer?
Yeah, go ahead.
Meaning, like, is there copyrighted music or nudity or anything like that? Okay. Okay, so okay, I don't want to make it super big so we can see our faces. So this is your campaign page. 29 days. So you got 30 days left. So you're doing kind of a short campaign. I actually made my campaign like way too long. And then once it launched, it was too late to change it.
Yeah, the nice thing about Indiegogo is you can extend it up to another 30 days.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, so like the length will depend on like how well we do within the first month.
Okay. So you're the writer, right? You didn't draw this?
I'm the writer, and it's drawn by Rich Parada.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I remember because your other campaign, somebody else was drawing also. So tell me about this. What's going on here? Why did Santa Claus go nuts? I'm a big fan of Santa Claus, so
I know you mentioned he's gonna be
I had
in
to
a
shave my beard, otherwise,
But yeah, if you go up to the first page, that's like a very brief kind of exposition page.
This?
It's no, just the first interior page.
Oh, okay.
Down. And so we next one down.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There we go. And so here you just get the kind of brief rundown that there's a Third World War and it turns nuclear. And in the wastelands of the nuclear apocalypse, so you've got like it's like all out war, and so there's biological weapons being used, there's chemical weapons being used, there's radiation from the nuclear bombs, and like the perfect recipe for zombies, right?
Yeah.
And so the zombie plague comes out, spreads across the world, goes all the way up to the North Pole. Even Santa's not safe.
Oh no.
And so he in the aftermath of this horrible apocalypse, he goes out into the world and he's got his nice list, and he's kind of dedicated to finding the last kids left alive on the nice list, saving them. Okay. And the only safe place left in this apocalyptic future is Antarctica. Because like the climate's been just like scorched by nuclear weapons, so now you can live in Antarctica if you want to.
Okay.
And it's so far away from everything. There's like a human sanctuary down there.
Okay.
And so Santa's got to find the last kids left on his nice list, get them down to Antarctica, and keep them safe.
Okay. So it's like a tongue-in-cheek humorous thing.
It's in the style of like 80s action movies and like 90s gritty comics kind of thing. So the way I think of it is like, if you can imagine if Santa existed in the Sin City universe by Frank Miller, and that universe turned like a zombie apocalypse, that's the tone that I'm going.
Is there humor at all?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I see. I don't know if that translates over there to Ireland, but like tongue in cheek is like.
Mm-hmm.
Is that an expression over there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the inspiration for this was one day I watched The Big Lebowski, and just out of nowhere my brain goes, what if the Big Lebowski was Santa? Like what would he be like?
Okay.
And that question is answered in this comic.
Okay. Yeah, it's funny because I'm a big fan of Santa Claus. I'm big Christmas. My wife is the only person in the world who loves Christmas more than me, and I want to do a story with Santa Claus in heroic tales at some point. Also, I just don't know when would be the right time.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's a big. If we're asking people to believe in, my superhero world is going to have space aliens and superheroes and mythological gods, I don't think Santa Claus is also too difficult to ask people to. So Santa Claus does exist along with the patriarch, and I'm trying to think of like a Christmas story where Santa Claus and the patriarch could do something together.
Well, what's funny is I put all this work into making this story, and I'm like, I'm making all like the marketing stuff, like the trailer and everything. And then just as I launch, DC announces Justice League Santa Claus crossover. And I'm like, I can't tell if that's a good thing for the comic or a bad thing.
I know, yeah. I gotta say, in the comic book world, there's a lot of cross pollination, and a lot of it is accidental. Excuse me. Are you familiar with Dave Brink and Genuine Comics?
Yeah.
Every time he announces a new comic book, I gotta change names for my characters. You know, I'm like, oh, he's so.
Yeah, we had this experience with Raven as well, right?
Well, yeah, you were one of the reasons why I had to change one of my characters. I had a character in issue 3 of Heroic Tales. It was going to be a Batman type character called the Raven. You have a character called the Raven, and then I was just like, and people tell me there's too many, and I realized he was just a straight off just Batman with a different costume. So I was like, you know what? And now I'm glad I did it. I'm not telling people his name yet, because it always seems to happen when I change this, because I changed his name to the Rook, and then Jeff Johns came out with that comic called Rook Exodus. So I'm not telling anybody, but I'm glad it happened, because it caused me to reinvent the character from the top down, because I made the Raven character when I was a kid to role play Batman without playing Batman. So it was me making up Batman in a role playing game, you know. So it was literally a ripoff of Batman. So the character became better because of it. So thank you. We got Luniverse, who was on my channel with me last night. So good to see you again. Luniverse is going to be launching his YouTube channel, and he was just like, when I'm ready, I said, you're never going to be ready. You're never going to be. Just do it, right? You're never going to be ready. You're never going to be prepared. It's always going to be a fumbling mistake. So just do it. Go watch my early videos. Oh my God, they're embarrassing. But anyway, he asked, what's with South Park?
Yeah.
Oh,
so,
okay. I see. Oh yeah, there's South Park there.
Yeah, that's a little inside joke from Rich, who's he's the cover artist and the interior artist. I sent him over the script and told him the idea, and said, make a. I didn't tell him what to put on the cover. I was just like, make a sweet, Santa in the Apocalypse cover. And he sent this over, and I didn't actually catch it at first, because it comes over to you in black and white, and your eyes just naturally drawn to Santa, and it didn't occur to me to look at the kids in the corner. And then he sends up a follow-up email, and he's like, what do you think of the South Park kids? And I'm like, oh, those are the South Park kids. And I sent the cover off to Russell, who's the who's the colorist I've been working with. And Russell colors it, and he spots it, and he draws them he colors them as the South Park characters. He sends it back to me, and he's like, I didn't expect to see the South Park characters in there. So it's it's a nice little reference to have there.
So it's just a joke on the cover, then they're not in.
Yeah. For legal reasons, there are no South Park characters.
Yeah, they're North Park characters.
Yeah,
because it's from the North Pole, so they're the North Park characters. So you're going all out here. It's a nuclear war, biological weapons. So I imagine they're radioactive zombies. This is bad. So I got to ask you then, what are your zombie rules? I'm big. My older brother is like, he's into like Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead. He's got a shed with all George Romero paraphernalia, autographs, everything like that. So we grew up watching zombie movies. And one year for Christmas, for my sister, I bought her a zombie survival kit. And my family is like, we're locked and loaded. We're waiting for the zombie apocalypse. You know what I mean? My wife bought rations and everything like that. I got my guns ready. So we're ready. So like, I don't know if you saw Dawn of the Dead when the hillbillies are having a barbecue and they're shooting the zombies as they're coming over there. That's going to be my family. So I got to know though, what are your zombie rules? I want to know if I'll survive your zombie apocalypse.
So I should just make a setup. So there's zombies. There's also mutants, and the mutants are a lot tougher to kill than the zombies.
That ruins my barbecue. Okay.
So the zombies are like
mutants.
The zombies are like pretty run of the mill, slow walkers. If you shoot them in the head, they go down. If they bite you, then you get infected, and it takes a couple of hours for you to become a zombie, and then you come back from the dead as a zombie. A little bit more intelligent than your average zombie, because like in a lot of zombie movies, you just see the zombies like mindlessly walking.
Yeah, they follow whatever noise or the herd.
Yeah, and so these ones, they're a little bit smarter, but not like not so much that you couldn't outsmart one, but they're a little bit more, they remember you a bit better. If they see something up there, then they'll keep going until they get it. And as all this is going on, so you've got Santa going out in New York City trying to save these kids. And then he finds out that some of the kids have been abducted by the military. And so you've got the army guys who are over on Liberty Island, and they're using like the Statue of Liberty as a makeshift kind of laboratory. And they've got these kids up in the head, and they're trying to experiment on them, trying to figure out if they can develop a cure, because obviously like the handful of people who are going to be left alive after all this, they're going to be immune. And but obviously the military guys, they're holed up, so it's not the same for them. They're they're all defended, and they're on this little island, and they've got like a little stash of zombies that they're experimenting on, and all that kind of thing. And so the first half of the comic is Santa killing zombies. The very first thing he fights is a zombified bear that's escaped from the Manhattan Zoo.
Oh, so even animals can get zombified.
Yeah. And then from there on, he takes on like your regular zombies. And then in the second half of the comic, it's the rescue mission of the kids from the army guys.
Okay. Since this is a launch party, I'm going to put the link in here so people could join us and talk, ask questions or whatever, talk about zombies, talk about Santa Claus, talk about Statue of Liberty. So, people come on in. We got a bunch of people watching. If anybody wants to come in and talk with Ashley and I, be my guest. Be my guest. The link is right there. Just have a camera on. I like talking to faces, not avatars. I don't know. I'm a people person. So, have you ever been to the Statue of Liberty?
Unfortunately not.
No, yeah, I've been to it is terrifying to actually go in there and go up. Hello, Emily. How's it going? If you go into the Statue of Liberty, there's a spiral staircase. And there was a big sign, and there was a guy who was like, once you step foot on this, you have to go up. And then you go into the head, and then you go down another spiral stair. You can't come down. Are you okay with this? And he would repeat this, because it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. And then all of a sudden you realize how high up you are, and the guardrail isn't, like, maybe my memory's playing tricks, but the guardrail wasn't that high. So you're on a spiral stack, and you could like lose your balance and fall off. Now this was probably like 1990 when I was up, so I don't know if they changed it by now, but I just remember going up. And I must have been 3/4 of the way up when this, in my memory, a woman as big as the Kingpin was like, I can't, I got to come down. And she's coming down, and everybody's freaking out because she's barreling her way down, and you have to, hold on. I'm like, I was like, this is somebody's going to die. And that must happen every day. So I imagine they must have fixed it. And then you get up to the head, and you're like, yeah, I'm in the Statue of Liberty, and it's like oppressively small. The windows that you could look out of are only like this big. It's so tiny. You think, because you see it every day, and you see it across the water. You think it would be so huge, but it's so tiny and everything. And then you just like, and then people are coming up, and they're only letting like 3 or 4 people in at a time, so they're kind of rushing you, and you're like, I don't know if you've seen a Vacation with a Chevy Chase when they're at the Grand Canyon and they just look at it and then leave. That's what it's like. You're like, okay, then. So a lot of fun, and you're not allowed to go up the arm. I wanted to go up the arm, but you're not allowed to. So, and then you just rush and you go down the stairs. Big deal. I mean, it's worth going. So if you ever come to New York, check it out. But this story sounds like a comic story. My story or his, because his story is a comic book story. Santa Claus isn't really killing zombies there, Marcus, just so you know. But my story, yeah, it was terrifying. This woman, and it's funny because in my memory, she was the hugest, fattest woman in the world. But if it's worth telling, it's worth exaggerating, and I exaggerate everything naturally in my mind anyway. I'm just like a person who does stuff like that. I've been to the bottom. I've never went inside or up. Oh, it was closed for a while for repairs. Maybe, I don't know if that was the reason why you never went in, but I moved to Albuquerque in 1993, and I was like, you know what? So I I said, I'm going to go do all the touristy things in New York because I'm going to be so embarrassed if I move to New Mexico. And people are like, have you ever been to the Empire State Building? Have you ever done this? And I'm like, no, you know what I mean? So I went and I did all the New York touristy things in one summer before I left. Actually, one spring because I left in the summer. So, but a friend of mine worked in the Empire State Building. So he actually brought me up to the top because to take an elevator ride to the top of the Empire State, they charge you like $20. It's like the biggest scam in the world. It's $20 for an elevator ride to the top of the Empire State Building. It's like, wow, but people do it because it's packed.
It's funny you say that because like I'm originally from the UK, and when I moved out here, all the questions are like, have you been to Buckingham Palace? Have you been to like the Tower of London? But I would never, like when I lived back in the UK, I never really went to London, and I found myself doing more like seeing the landmarks more as I've gone back to visit than when I used to live there.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So where I forgot that you said you live in Ireland, but you're originally from Great Britain. Whereabouts?
About an hour outside London.
Okay. So have you been to Stonehenge?
No.
See, I would love to see Stonehenge. I really love it.
I've been to the Lake District. I've been to a lot of the, like the London Eye, Big Ben, Tower of London, that kind of thing. Yeah. I've never really been I liked living there, but I was never really the landmark kind of person,
Yeah, same with me. I lived in New York my whole life. I never thought of it. I worked in the Twin Towers, obviously before, everything. So I've been up to the roof of the Twin Towers. I've been up to the Empire State Building. I've been to the Statue of Liberty. I'm trying to think of all the other. I worked in the Marvel Building for 4 years. Then when I went to Seattle, the same guy that, he was like a manager of attractions. So when he moved to Seattle, he got a job managing the Space Needle. So he brought me up to the space. That's another thing. It's like $20 just to go up to a gift shop. Like that is the Space Needle. It's cool. I'm glad I went. And I'm also glad I didn't pay anything because that would have been ridiculous to pay $20 for an elevator ride to a gift shop. Luniverse says, I've been to New York 3 times. I never bought a New York. So you never been to New York? That's unforgivable. That's unforgivable. Matter of fact, I'm not joking. If my comic, I forgot the name of my own comic, Heroic Tales #1 makes it to $10,000, I'm flying, and I'm almost at 7,000, so it has a realistic chance of getting there. I'm flying Renzo to New York when we do fulfillment, so we can sign comics, and we're taking him to get New York pizza. New York Chinese food, New York pizza. So, Luniverse, how can you come to New York and not get pizza? I mean, it's unforgivable. Unforgivable. Timely Atlas had the offices in the Empire State Building. Yeah. I wasn't there at that point, but Marcus, have you read? Why can't I think of the name of the book that The Escapist is from? The Adventures of Cavalier and Clay. I live in Texas, and I've never been to a rodeo. I've never been to a rodeo too. I lived in New Mexico. I've been to Texas a few times, but I've never been to a rodeo either. I've been all over Texas except for Austin. Go figure. Before I got married, when I was a school teacher, I had the summers off. I used to just get my car, drive all over Ashley, you realize how big the United States is. The United States is as big as Europe. You know what I mean? So from going to New York to New Jersey is like going to like Germany to France. You know what I mean? It's so going to New York to Texas. I imagine it's going from like Britain to Poland or something. So it's huge. But I used to just get my car. One of the things about the United States is we got a really good highway system. So you could just, it's like hard to get lost when you take the highway system. Once you learn, it's a code. North, east goes one way, the numbers. I forget if it's north. I got to refresh myself, but it's the odd numbers go east, west, and then even numbers go whatever. But you could get a map, you could look at it, realize it, and you can know exactly where you are. And anywhere in federal parkland, you're allowed to just pull over and camp. So that's what I used to do. I used to keep like a little pup tent. My friends used to be like, John's off to go live like a serial killer, and I'd drive around because my friends were still working. You know, I was off. My friends were still working at the time. I didn't have a girlfriend, but then when I met my wife, you know, you don't really go traveling without your wife. So, you know, I don't really do that anymore. I kind of miss it. Never kind of miss it. But it has nothing to do with your Santa Claus comic. I never heard of The Reputation. I was 6'10", blame it. Oh, okay. Oh, you read that book? I've never been to Texas, but your son just moved there. Yeah. Okay. So again, I'm rambling because that's what I do. And I did nothing but but drink coffee all day today. It's a beautiful day out, and I'm trapped inside because of my neck. So anybody wants to join in and help out. So tell us more about your comic before I ramble about me driving around the country.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a love letter to a lot of things. Mostly it's kind of aimed at if you enjoy 80s action movies. So as you read it, you'll see a lot of, well, not a lot, but definitely some inspiration from Escape from New York, which I think is like one of the all-time great action movies.
Yeah.
Which is actually kind of funny because originally when I was scripting it, I didn't actually have a particular city in mind. I was brainstorming it with Rich. And then we just kind of because I sent him the script and I was like, a city like New York. And then we just both decided that it should be New York because, you know, it's like a classic place to set a good action story.
Yeah.
And there's just so many things you can explore there. And like, obviously the Statue of Liberty. And, but yeah, I mean, and the other thing it's inspired by is, as I said before, Frank Miller's Sin City, which I think is just such a fun universe to read. And tonally, I just wanted to get like a balance between the kind of 80s action and the gritty 90s comics.
So let's look at your perks over here.
Yeah,
$17 US money for your regular cover, and then digital copy. There you go. You know, kids in their digital. I don't understand it, but you got it. You got to offer digital.
Yeah.
Yeah. Black, white, and red. Okay. And my mouse isn't working. Forgive me. So what is the Santa Sleigh bundle? What is this?
So that's for the regular cover and the black, white, and red cover.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you get both of them. Okay. Buy ad space. So what you're going to have a page of ads?
Yeah. So if you want to buy an ad space, you get a whole page for whatever it is. If it's a comic, if it's a business, whatever it is.
Okay.
You get a whole page to yourself of whatever you want to advertise. Tell us how you want to advertise it and we'll put it in there for you.
Okay. Okay. That's cool. And then original art. That is great.
Yep.
That is great. Original art. You become a zombie. You get murdered in the comic by Santa Claus. That's funny. I know Brian Bow had a tier where you could get murdered by Wilfred Batsy in one of his comics, and people loved it. People were like, oh man, like they were messaging him, can you make it extra gory? You know, can you make it so that my eyes pop out? And Brian was just like, wow, I didn't think people were gonna like it so much. So people like that. That's funny. A personalized victim cameo. There you go. And custom commission. So your artist will draw whatever is asked of them.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Get an original. Oh, you could buy the cover.
Yeah.
Oh wow. I have all the original covers to my comic. I can't sell them. You know what I mean? So good for you that you could. You know, I'm a shit hoarder. I got so much stuff. I can't get rid of stuff. So good for you that you're able to get rid of it. Good for you. And a custom. So what is this? Get the cover redrawn for you?
So this is, if you back this bottom tier, you can get you can get any cover that you want. You just send us along the details. We'll print you off a one-of-a-kind cover any way you want it.
Oh, okay.
So if you want to see like yourself drawn as Santa or something like that, and then
cool.
Yeah, and so that will be just yours. No one else will get a copy like that. It will just be, you know, and then you get the original artwork for it with it.
Oh, cool. So again, so like, are you like my wife and I, we love Christmas. Like I'll let you in on a little secret. We keep the Christmas tree up all year long. We're one of those people, you know, so we you know, and she decorates it for the season. She'll put Halloween lights on it, Easter lights on it, Christmas lights. So, like, are you big into Christmas, or is this just like a fun idea that you thought of?
It's more about just loving Santa as a character than anything else. I mean, obviously, who doesn't like Christmas, but
Right.
Yeah, I got just started scripting out a bunch of ideas for how I could use Santa in a story, and I just really enjoy the character. I mean, it's Santa as a character is someone everyone loves, so why not?
How you doing, Luna?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, so we're here for a launch party for Santa's Nuclear Winter Special, and I have to say that is a pretty clever title, Santa's Nuclear Winter Special, because it's one of those things that you hear and it's so obvious after you hear it, and you're like, why didn't anybody do this before? Tying Santa Claus with nuclear winter. It's kind of clever.
But the question is Santa Russian?
No.
Dang.
He's actually kind of inspired by the Kurt Russell Santa.
Kinda, yeah.
What were the name of those movies? But so you saw that there was when I was in Iceland, we saw the first of those Kurt Russell Santa movies, and then I guess like a year or so ago we saw the second one.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked the second one. The first one was hokey. The first one I thought was cheesy, but the second one I really liked because they did some ties to mythology in it. They had the Yule Cat, especially since after going to Iceland, I didn't know anything about the Yule Cat until I went to Iceland, and they have like a citywide Yule Cat celebration because that's where it's from. It's from Iceland. I wish I could remember the Icelandic name for it, but it's kind of scary. It introduces like a scary thing into the Santa Claus mythology, and if the Yule Cat prowls Reykjavik, and if it smells you wearing old dirty clothes, it tears you apart. So you have to wear new clothes on Christmas, and what that is if you're bad, you don't get new clothes. Like your parents aren't going to get you new clothes, or Santa's not going to bring you new clothes if you've been a bad kid. So it's like you better behave. Not only will you not get a present, but you're going to get murdered by this feline monster that lurks in the darkness. And then there's these Yule lads. I forget exactly how many Yule lads there are, but there's like they're like little mischievous elves, and it's pretty cool because in Reykjavik they have a contest, and they hide Yule lads throughout the city, and you have to like either take pictures of them all or write down their locations, and then if you find out where all of them are, you submit and you win a prize. So it's kind of cool because it gets people to look, and go all around the town, look, touristy stuff, and you go to this hot dog stand or whatever. So it's pretty cool, but then again, Reykjavik is small enough that they could do stuff like that with the cooperation of everybody. And also just has nothing to do with anything. They were making more housing apartments in Reykjavik than they could. They were making, there's only 300,000 people and they all have places to live. There's really no homeless. They were making more than 300,000 apartments. So
due to that movie?
What's that?
Due to the movie?
What movie?
The Kurt Russell movie.
No. The movie wasn't even out yet when I was there. It was just the if you remember, Iceland had like a little boom. It turned out to be some banker did some fraudulent stuff, but they didn't know it was fraudulent at the time, and he became a billionaire, and he was investing and doing this. So everywhere you went, there was constructions, there was buildings, there was skyscrapers being built, and they were making so much housing. So like when my wife and I went there, we rented an apartment, like not even a hotel room. We had a whole apartment because there's so many empty apartments and housing there that it was dirt cheap. I don't know about now, but it was really cool. We went and we had like this great apartment in downtown Reykjavik overlooking everything, glaciers, everything. It was really cool. Better than a little apartment. So I recommend it, but it's dark from 10 a.m. to 3. It's light from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. So you just get that little light period, and the rest of the time it's just dark and cold. But don't go to Iceland if you're not prepared to see that. So,
do they have northern lights?
Yeah, that's why we went. We went out on Northern Light tours. You go out on a bus, and then you go way out to the glaciers, and my wife was like overwhelmed. She got like emotional looking at, and you could see the Milky Way, with no light pollution. It's amazing how much you could see of the stars and everything. Like we were pointing out constellations, because in New York with all the light pollution, you don't see stars.
Yeah.
You have to really go upstate far away before, but we were past civilization like that. It's one of the things you get like a little like philosophical. You're like, right now we are less than 1% of humanity that is this far north, because Reykjavik is down south in Iceland, and then as you go north, it's this how many humans exist north of Reykjavik on the planet. So when we were out on these all-terrain vehicles out up on glaciers at 11 o'clock at night in December, we were like, this like the White Walkers could come and kill us. That's what you start thinking about. And it's funny because they filmed a lot of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
We went on a Game of Thrones tour. This was before Game of Thrones fell apart, so we were really excited about that. But anyway, this again has nothing to do with Santa Claus or your comic, but I talk a lot. So is this going to be a one-shot? Is this going to be a series? What are you thinking of?
This is a self-contained story. I am kind of thinking up. I'd really like to take Santa and put him into like all kinds of different situations. Like the one I was thinking about the other day was like a swashbuckling Santa on the high seas as a pirate, that kind of thing, and just
like set in the past.
Yeah.
Cool.
And just like obviously it depends on how successful this is, but just like keep doing that, like not exactly like an Elseworlds kind of thing, because like the idea is that Santa's been around for a while, so you can put him in all kinds of different time periods, and it just kind of works.
Oh, that is pretty cool. Like a swashbuckling pirate Santa. Now I'm trying to think of like what other, like how about like Santa going into like Saudi Arabia, almost like a Sinbad kind of adventure.
Imagine Santa in feudal Japan trying to sneak into the like ninjas' houses to deliver the presents.
There's a lot of cool settings. That's pretty cool. Santa would be the ultimate ninja, right? You could go across the world in the night and sneak down everybody's
and no one notice.
Yeah.
Or like an expedition to the North Pole, and they get so far up that Santa's there, and he's like, "Get the F out of my area.
Get off my lawn, kid." And then you get in the South Pole, they get the evil anti-Santa. Well, that's what
I have actually, because like in the story, the South Pole is where he wants to go to, like get the humans, and I have thought about doing maybe a sequel where he's defending from like the like mutated monsters under the sea or something like that.
That's cool. How about like, I don't know, Santa versus like vampires and werewolves? I'm just what's the term? Spitballing or brainstorming?
Now that
the one I thought up was like sticking him in World War II or something like that, where he's like making munitions for the army or something like that.
Oh, or like World War I. He's dropping stuff into the trenches. Because
actually, if I can just like, so the fun things because I've reimagined a few things. One of the cool things about this is in this book, his Santa's sleigh is a seaplane. Like he's got like this nice beat up old kind of 1950s era plane sitting out in the Manhattan Harbor, and once he's got his kids, he's going to fly them out of there.
Yeah, there's a lot you could do with this. Did you ever see Santa Claus Conquers the Martians? Voted one of the worst movies ever made. I never heard. I don't know who made it, but it was in the 60s or 50s. I forget which, and it was on all the time as when I was a kid around Christmas time, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Santa Claus conquers the Martians, and the Martians invade, and Santa Claus intercepts them and beats the Martians. It's absolutely terrible, but it's like wonderfully terrible. Yeah, the North Pole is where the heat miser kidnaps baby Newt and hides him and terrorizes. Do you have any idea what he's talking about?
I'm vaguely aware of who Heat Miser is.
the Rankin and Bass Christmas specials. You know,
I've seen like the music,
yeah,
like the music videos.
Mr. Heat Miser. Yeah,
Yeah.
I loved that as a kid, and I always thought it was funny that the Rankin and Bass, they just made up Christmas mythology whole cloth, you know, and Rankin and Bass, they're two Jewish guys, and they're making up Christian mythology. You know, can you imagine like if a bunch of Catholics like, we're gonna make up Jewish mythology and make Jewish Christmas specials, or Hanukkah specials? You wouldn't make Jewish Christmas specials,
But it would be hard to like make it not Christian, because in Christianity, Judaism is pretty much part of Christianity. It's just Christianity expanded on it, whereas Judaism, it's more traditional.
Yep. So this is a you know, an irreverent, tongue-in-cheek, goofy take on Santa Claus. Like, nobody's going to take it seriously. Nobody's going to get offended. You know, this Santa Claus fighting zombies. I mean, he is the good guy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my thing. I like Superman. Well, I do like Superman, but I like Santa. I want Santa to be the good guy.
I mean, one way you could think of it is kind of like a Santa Dark Knight Returns.
Okay.
Because the idea is, I really like the idea of Santa that like the more people that believe in him and the more people have Christmas cheer, the more powerful he is. And so, like, obviously after the apocalypse, that's going to be at like an all-time low.
Oh,
so
I got you.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because there's not enough. There's literally not enough belief because there's not enough people. And that's not something you could store, I imagine. As soon as the people die, okay.
But maybe here's a thought. Maybe because the world is such at a hopeless situation, the ones that do have hope, their hope is so much more powerful because of their desperation for survival.
I can't give away any spoilers.
Okay.
I have thought of that, yeah. But you're going to see like the reindeer will make an appearance, and one of my favorite things that I included there is, you know, like you've got the endless sack of toys, and so in this, his coat's made of his old sack, and so if he can stick gadgets in there and reach in, and it's like, you know, whatever he needs, he just reaches in and pulls it out.
Yeah, like I said, I love Santa Claus, and I'm trying to work in, because I don't want to do like just a hokey Santa's sled crashes and the patriarch helps him deliver Christmas presents. You know, that's just too easy. But I want to incorporate like a Santa Claus story into heroic tales. And again, like, if you could believe in superheroes and there's going to be ancient terrors and aliens, it's like I think, like, I always found it funny in Marvel. There was Spider-Man, there was the Fantastic Four, there were Skrulls, Galactus, but then people like that don't believe in Santa Claus. You know, it's like, you know, you could have Santa Claus as like a mutant, you know what I mean, or an alien, or you know, you have Thor and Odin flying around. You can't have you know, and Loki and stuff. You can't have Santa Claus. So I always found that to be like a funny thing. There, I was reading an old, oh geez, I can't remember a Marvel Comics Presents, those anthology ones, and it was Franklin sees Santa Claus, and the Thing doesn't believe him. I'm like, come on, man, Ben. You know, even if you don't believe him, humor the kid. You know, and I'm like, is that too hard of a reach to believe in Santa Claus in the Marvel universe? You know, so there you go.
I think they had a comic where I don't know if you've read it, but the one where it's revealed that like every year Santa goes to Apocalypse and gives Darkseid a piece of clay.
Oh, really?
Coal. Yeah.
Really? That's a DC comic? That's pretty funny. Yeah. If anybody knows what issue that is, I'd like to read that. That's pretty funny. And I imagine Darkseid probably is waiting for him to blast him out of the air, but Santa's too elusive and too powerful.
Yeah, he's got his like parademons waiting for him and everything.
Yeah, that's what. Do you ever read the Dresden Files?
No.
It's Harry Dresden. It's written by Jim Butcher. It's Harry Dresden. I always describe it as, just imagine Harry Potter grows up, moves to Chicago, and becomes a private detective. So it's a private detective wizard, and the difference between him and all the other wizards is he tells everybody he's a wizard. So you look up wizard in the phone book, you'll see Harry Dresden. You look at private detective in the phone book, it says Harry Dresden. And there's a woman, Karen Murphy. She's a police officer, and they just get like so desperate. She's like, why not? And they hire him, and it turns out he's legit. And long story short, there's Santa Claus. There's all the mythological creatures, and gods, monsters, and Merlins and all that stuff, all in the book. Such a good take. I love their take for Santa Claus, and it's funny because like Harry Dresden's a wise guy. He smart mouths everybody, and then when he sees Santa Claus, he gets like all like, he's like, I'm fanboy, and Santa's like, yes, you're fanboy. But it's really good. I recommend it.
Yeah, for me, I was like the one thing I really wanted to do, and I'm still kind of struggling with, is I wanted to take like the idea of Krampus and turn it, like rework it somehow. And I was like sitting there like trying to come up with, like you have the secret agencies and things like the Man from U.N.C.L.E. where you've got Thrush, and I was like trying to find an acronym that would fit Krampus, and everyone just felt way too forced. And so I was like, I'll figure out another way.
Well, maybe
Killer would have to be the K.
Or not only that, just find Russian words. Like I imagine the nuclear war, is it Chinese? Like who's the war between? Is it between Russia and the United States, or China and United States?
Russia and the United States, yeah.
Yeah, so find Russian words that could be Krampus.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Because why would Krampus, if they're the bad guys, be in English? So find that. What about Festivus? Yeah. Well, Festivus is for the rest of us, Marcus. Do you have any idea what he's talking about? Like, that's probably like a dated reference now, huh?
I've seen Seinfeld, yeah.
Okay. Because Seinfeld is now 30 years ago. Jeez. Luna, do you even remember Seinfeld?
I heard of it. I just never.
I heard of it. Oh, jeez. I just turned it old right before everybody dies. My beard is going to come back grayer than ever. Yeah.
Now for the airing of grievances.
And now, and the feats of strength.
Yeah.
Oh.
Jerry Stiller in that show was so good.
Yeah, he was the best.
Like,
Jerry Stiller.
Every episode he was in was one of the best ones.
And I followed him over into King of Queens. I just like Jerry Stiller. Yeah. Seinfeld. Yeah, Marcus for like. If you're a New Yorker, Seinfeld is the thing. But I'm funny about sitcoms. I'll watch a sitcom, and then all of a sudden one day I'm like, I'm done, and I like, it's like I hit a limit, and then I never watch it ever again. Like
what I always end up doing is I'll like try and work my way through a sitcom, and then I'll get about 3 episodes away from the finale, and then I'll just be like, nope, I'm gonna wait. And with Seinfeld, I think I waited like 3 years between watching like the second to last episode and the last episode.
Oh, really? Well, the last episode was terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really dropped the ball on the last episode. But I remember just watching MASH, and I would watch MASH over and over. And then one day I was like, I'm never watching MASH again. And just every Seinfeld, every sitcom, sooner or later, I just hit a point. The only sitcom I could still watch, it's my favorite sitcom, was The Odd Couple. How's that for date myself? 1968 to 1972. Jack Klugman and Tony Randall, the Odd Couple. It's my favorite sitcom of all time. Which has,
I think mine was always Everybody Loves Raymond.
Oh man, my wife watched everyone. She was buying the DVDs, and that one episode where when Raymond got tickets to the Super Bowl, not the Super Bowl, the Super Bowl.
Yeah. And
he said, I'm going to take my dad, and we're going to go, because he's a sports columnist. That's his job. He's got to go. And his wife gets mad at him, and then he tells his father he's not. So now his father's mad at him, and then his wife is making a vacation out of it. And he just goes, oh my! I was just like, I said a word that I don't say too much. I was like, what a fill in the blank. And I'm like, I said, I've never watched it. The show aggravated me so much. I've never watched it again. And my, she's like, I'm gonna watch. She'll warn me. I'm gonna watch Raymond upstairs. I'm like, I'm going downstairs. I don't even want to see the TV where that show is on. That episode drove me nuts. Like, I probably was gonna have a heart attack if I watched another second of it. When I was laid up in an old home, I watched Seinfeld every night. I think it's still on in New York. Love The Odd Couple, another uniquely Yep. I usually tell my Odd Couple story, but yeah, who cares? This is about Santa Claus right now. My favorite sitcom is Monty Python's Flying Circus. Is that considered a sitcom? Because a sitcom is like
it's a sketch show.
Yeah, that's a sketch show, and I do agree. Monty Python is absolutely amazing, and I do love British humor. Man, I love British humor. I've been watching Monty Python since I was a kid. It was on Channel 13, which in New York, that was the public access. The Sesame Street and all of that. It was Channel 13 at 11:30 at night on Sunday nights. So I'd have to stay up late on Sunday and watch it on a black and white TV in my room. Oh, man, but I love Monty Python. And half the time I'd fall asleep before it was on. I'd wake up to like whatever PBS nonsense was on in the morning. But I love Monty Python. But yeah, but it's not a sitcom. Situation comedy. A situation comedy is usually like Friends. It's
the same characters, and every week something different happens.
Scenario, just but Monty Python, yeah, sketch comedy, I guess. Is you're over there. Is like Monty Python? Is that something like it's not cool anymore? Like people like, yeah, my grandma used to watch that.
Yeah, it really depends on your age. I'd say people above 40, it's still fairly like pop. The movies are a lot more popular today than the show. So like Life of Brian and the Holy Grail, those are still pretty big and popular. But the old TV show, the Flying Circus, it's not talked about as much anymore.
Yeah, because I see John Cleese, like they try to cancel him every couple of years. He'll say something, and you're like, the guy's a 90-year-old man. Of course, he's going to say something that you 20-year-olds disagree with. There's a century between you guys, and you're trying to cancel this guy who at one point was like the epitome of like liberalism and abrasive behavior and counterculture, and now he lived long enough to be the guy you want to cancel.
Same thing with happened to Terry Gilliam recently as well.
Well, Terry Gilliam is a pretty abrasive person. He's the only American in Monty Python, and everybody has horror stories about working with him. When they directed one of my favorite movies of all time was Adventures of Baron Munchausen. The little girl who was on that show, she was just like, yeah, he would make me cry. He would yell and scream, and I'm like, oh man, I love that movie. He directed Time Bandits, directed Time Bandits, which they're redoing now. Oh, I hit the wrong thing. Fawlty Towers is a British sitcom. Yes, Fawlty Towers. And that's Mandela affected. I can't believe there's only like 8 episodes or something
that's
like that.
That's the worst thing about British TV is that we're like every season you're lucky to get more than 6 episodes.
Yeah, I remember watching it over and over again, but I'm like, no, apparently not. There's only like 6, 7 episodes. What about the young ones? 2 seasons. I love the young ones.
I haven't seen the young ones, but I do love. I don't know if you ever watched Bottom.
Yeah, Bottom is funny. It's Adrian Edmondson and Rick Mayall. Yeah, they do Bottom. That's sketch comedy. And then they do another show, Rick Mayall and Adrian Edmondson. Why can't I think of the name of the show? But they're like middle-aged guys, and they're just trying to pick up girls. And Adrian Edmondson's character.
Bottom.
What's that?
That is Bottom.
Oh, that is Bottom? He's Eddie Hitler? That is Bottom? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, then, because they had another show that was a sketch. Yeah, that was Bottom, where they were middle-aged guys hitting on girls. That was funny. And then that's going to drive me nuts. They also had another show that was every episode was different. It was like an anthology, but it was, for the half hour, it was one thing. Oh man, what was the name of that show? That's going to drive me nuts. The Picture Show or something like that. Has anybody seen the UK show My Hero? No. Have you? Do you know what he's talking about? No. What is it, Phantom Outsider? Terry Gilliam was discovered by Harvey Kurtzman. That's interesting. It's a little bit of comic book trivia that I had no idea. Well, Terry Gilliam started out making those cartoons, and then I think he animated the cartoons, and then I think he went into like directing and everything like that. So there you go. Maybe that makes sense.
Well, since we're on the subject, oh, sorry.
I forgot you were talking. I was like, where's that voice coming from?
I was just going to say, was Peep Show the other show that you were thinking of?
Peep Show. That's it. Yes, Peep Show. That was a bizarre show, Peep Show. Yeah. So what were we saying, Luna? I'm sorry.
Since we're on the subject of like Christmas and TV,
yeah, bring it back to this comic. Good host, good co-host.
Yeah. Well, kinda. What is your favorite Christmas special that you remember?
Oh, that's a good one. Give me a second to think of that one. That's a good question.
Yeah. Like,
you worked for Harvey on Help, the Beatles movie. There you go. And yeah, Benny Hill is an absolute legend. Is Benny Hill like? I heard that in Britain they kind of like memory hold Benny Hill. You know, people.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, British comedy for like as long as I've been alive has been a lot more like sarcastic and dry. And I think Benny Hill was a lot more slapstick kind of thing.
Yeah, he was sexist. Yeah, but I love Benny Hill. As far as Christmas special, what is my favorite?
You know, actually, I will say my favorite Christmas special is, have you seen Knowing Me, Knowing You?
No.
That is, the guy who did, Steve Coogan.
No.
Oh, he's in, have you seen The Other Guys?
The Other Guys? No. What is that? Is that an action movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
You would know Steve Coogan if you saw him. He was Alan Partridge.
Oh. No, I don't think I know. I don't watch action movies.
No. If you saw Steve Coogan, you'd probably know who he is. He's a comedy actor, and he had this character called Alan Partridge, who was like a satirical late night host, and he would have on guests, and he would just be like completely obnoxious and like stupid and like racist and everything, like just all the stereotypes come out and everything like that. And
I don't know.
It's so funny. It only ran for like 6 episodes, but the Christmas special for that's hilarious.
Oh, what's the name of the show? I gotta look this up.
It's called Knowing Me, Knowing You.
Knowing Me, Knowing You is the name of the
yeah.
It's like a fake talk show because I love fake talk shows. America has a big history of that, starting with like Fernwood Tonight in the 70s. It was like a fake talk show set in a tiny little town in Fernwood, and they would have like boring guests, but it was actually pretty funny. My favorite Christmas special. I know I'm gonna be probably cheesy and say like I think it's Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the Rankin and Bass.
How about a Christmas special that's not a movie, or it's part of a TV show, like a TV show special?
I really like the Family Guy and the American Dad, how they handle the Christmas specials.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing one American Dad one, the one with Krampus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's another one where they do like, have you seen the movie I Know What You Did Last Summer?
Yeah.
So in one of these episodes of American Dad, they accidentally run over and kill Santa, but they think he's a mall Santa. And it turns out it's the real Santa, and they like bury him, and they're trying to keep the secret. And then the real Santa comes back, and he's like leaving them notes being like, I know what you did. And it all ends in them going up and hiding out in the mountains, and Santa comes down to like, he brings like an army of elves to try and kill them and that kind of thing. And it's just absolute nonsense.
My hero, UK sitcom, a British nurse goes on holidays. The Grand Canyon falls in, but is rescued by the world's greatest hero, Thermal Man. He likes her. I never heard of this. My hero. We could probably watch it on Netflix. Everything is available. The magazine that Harvey did after Mad Magazine. Oh, Help is the name. I thought you were talking about the Beatles TV show. Okay. Hijinks, one of the most amazing villains in TV, Mrs. Raven, who works at the same hospital as she has no powers, just pure evil. Sounds interesting. Is from the planet Ultron and doesn't understand the alter of human things, and his parents hate him. Okay, sounds interesting. Bob Newhart show was like that. Fake talk show inside of a TV show. Yep. Bob Newhart had that dry, subtle sense of humor. Speaking of superheroes, fake super, do you remember the Monty Python sketch with the Mr. Neutron, the most powerful? That's one of my favorite fake superheroes. it's Graham Chaplin. He wears this big golden outfit and a big golden pompadour, and he's got this sash that just says Mr. Neutron. And all he does is talk about how powerful he is, but he doesn't do anything. And then they cut back and he's baking cookies. He's like, easily the most powerful me. Like the United States government is trying to destroy him. And every time they cut to him, he's got like mittens on and he's baking. It's just typical funny Monty Python skit. A lot of American TV shows will never get made now. Yep. A lot of 50s, 70s shows. Yeah, like right now they're coming after Friends. You know, Friends is racist or sexist or homophobic or whatever nonsense.
Yeah, whatever.
Friends has got to be the most bland, inoffensive TV show ever made. That's why it was so successful. It was like designed to just be like, everybody likes Friends, you know. I never particularly liked it, but I'm a weirdo. So Luna, what's your favorite Christmas? I don't have like a regular TV show.
I'm a youngin, so I was obsessed with cartoons and all that. But like, if I could think of narrow down to one, I remember the Kids Next Door one. Have you ever heard of that?
The Kids Next Door? No.
Codename Kids Next Door.
It's pretty much a TV show about kids, you know, like who play super spies, but in the show, they're actually super spies going up against adults who are like villains and all that stuff. It's kind of like a spy thriller cartoon.
Okay.
But silly slapstick and stuff like that. But in one episode is the Christmas special. I just loved this because I'm a huge comic fan. And so it's pretty much Santa gets attacked by one of the villains and he sends his elves who are mimicked after the X-Men. So you got one elf that's like Wolverine with candy cane claws, one elf just like Storm controlling snow powers, and then another one Colossus, and then Nightcrawler and all that. And I thought that was fun, and that makes Santa Claus Professor X, except he can walk. But yeah, he had the cerebral room or whatever you call it, and I thought that was fun. That was cool.
I never heard of it. Well, we've been talking for an hour now. So, Ashley, is there anything that we didn't mention that we want to talk about with your comic or your campaign? Anything you want to bring up?
All I'll say is that if you want a good Christmas comic, this is it. And you can also actually we have add-ons if you want to get the Unbreakable Argonauts with this.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you
campaign, that's a pulp hero inspired comic, the Unbreakable Argonauts. Yeah, I was just scrolling down, and I was going to mention it, and then I distracted myself. Look at that design. That is just a cool looking design. I love that. What's that character's name again?
The Raven.
That's the Raven. Yeah, I know.
That's the Raven. Yeah.
I wanted you to rub it in my face. That, you know, but it, like I said, it worked out. My character. That is cool looking though. I really. And did you ever read Planetary? Did you ever finish it?
I haven't finished it. I'm working my way through it.
We got it. We've a love of all pulp stuff, and because of you, I might as well bring this up. I got these books because you were talking about the pulp, and I got these Doc Savage, the first two Doc Savage books that I got to read, and I'm the slowest reader in the world. My books just keep piling up. I also got this Frill. It's like one of those novels that people pretend is real. And it's supposed to be like an underground race that has superpowers, and the guy learns how to use these superpowers, and then it became like the basis of Roy Thomas's superhero comics and blah 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 blah. But I love all this stuff. But anyway, I'm babbling, guys. We've been talking for an hour, so I'm gonna get going, and we wanted to help Ashley out with his Santa Claus. Oh my mouse. It's wireless and it's freaking out. Santa's Nuclear Winter Special, which I think is a pretty clever title. I'm amazed nobody's thought of it before. It kind of goes together perfectly. So, you got 20. How many days? 29 days. 29 days on Indiegogo. Where's the link? I'll put the link up here again. And the link is in the description, along with the links for my comics. My Comic Heroic Tales. 2 more days left on Fund My Comic. We are less than $200 away from the next stretch goal. I'd really like to unlock the stretch goal, considering that I've already made the cards, so it would be nice to give them away.
Are you going to do a closeout stream?
Yeah, Friday. Yes. So today is Thursday. When you're home from work, you'll forget what day it is. So tomorrow, I may or may not have a talk at 7:00. The guy didn't come back to confirm, but he kind of just, the guy I'm talking to just doesn't respond for days and days and days, and then all of a sudden he talks to you. So who knows? But at 8:00, I'm going to do It's Clobbering Time, and I'm going to try to keep that down to an hour. So tomorrow it's Clobbering Time, Aquaman versus Submariner. And then when that's over, I'm going to close it down, and then I want to do a Heroic Tales Fund My Comic closeout party, for as long as people are interested. So that's my schedule for Friday. It actually closes noon on Saturday. So that's that. Sunday, I'm going to do some Sunday comics, and I picked a comic and then promptly forgot which comic I was going to do. So I got to remember. Marcus, you got the ideas for a comic for Sunday? He's always pretty good like that. So that's my schedule for the week. All right. But I'm going to get going. Check out Ashley's book. He's a good guy. I backed Unbreakable Argonauts, and I'm probably going to back Santa's Winter Special as soon as I don't do it live, because I'm always afraid my credit card information is going to show up on the screen,
Yeah.
And Luna, you got your channel. When's your channel going to debut?
Well, I'm planning on recording something tomorrow and posting it somewhere either the next day after or somewhere next week.
Okay.
But I'm planning on streaming for the first time every Friday.
Yeah, what Luna was telling me, he's going to develop a character, teach himself to draw, and however long it takes to make a comic book. I think that's a pretty cool, pretty ambitious YouTube channel. So that's something kind of interesting. I've never seen anything like that before. It's pretty unique. So I wish you luck. But I'm going to go, everybody. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.